Hey guys, I'm Red, and this is LEGO Ideas set number 21331, released in 2022 for just $80 with 1,125 pieces, 3 exclusive minifigures. This is the Sonic the Hedgehog Green Hill Zone. And this is a beautiful set, so let's just get right into it. Starting off with the front of the box, you can see a massive picture of the set there. It says LEGO Ideas number 39 with the Sonic the Hedgehog logo there. All of our information will be on the bottom in this beautiful, blue Lego design, I guess. I don't know. On the top here just lists our 4, or I guess maybe 2.5 minifigures. I don't know. But it just says Sonic the Hedgehog again with Sonic as our scale minifigure. On the left side, it just shows Sonic running through Green Hill Zone. And finally, the back side just has another picture of the set and some play features and things we'll look at later. You do get the dimensions of the set, so it's 7 inches tall and 14 inches wide. And you do get our LEGO Ideas information on the right there. And, yeah. I think we should also look at the instructions here. Of course, you do get a massive, classic Sonic title screen there. So if we flip it open to the first page, you can see it says, From Sega Fan Creation to LEGO Fan Creation. You can see the original LEGO Ideas design there. I honestly think that's a little bit better, but that's beside the point. You do get a picture of Sonic. And when we flip to the next page, there's this really cool timeline of Sonic, because this was 30-year anniversary of the Blue Hedgehog. So we start with 1991 here with the first Sonic the Hedgehog game, all the way to my favorite, Sonic Generations, and then just continues on, with the movie and the anniversary. And the next page isn't as cool. It just says, Meet the Fan Designer. So there's a picture of their sig fig there. You do get the LEGO designers as well. And of course, we do get a Sonic running through the timeline of the build. And then when we build our enemies, Sonic also, loses his rings. So that's pretty cool. And then at the end, he's able to collect all of the Chaos Emeralds. But then at the final back of the instruction is Dr. Eggman jumping on the end screen. So that's pretty cool. Our only actual minifigure in the set is, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog himself. And he does come with this, really cool ring. It's the Life Raft piece. I feel like the Lord of the Rings, chrome ring would have worked a little bit better for the minifigures. But for the set, this does work a little bit better. But the minifigure itself is really, really nice and really, really beautiful. His headpiece is the same from the Dimensions Sonic that we got a few years ago. The eyes and expression are a little different. He does get a little smile on the left side with his big, huge white eyes there. You can see he does have a little bit of nose, like a Pinocchio. You can see he has 2 tan arms and just a little tan spot on his torso there. But the legs are where it gets interesting because, of course, you need his iconic red boots, which are dual molded in red. So that's pretty cool. You get a white stripe right above them, and this little, maybe a strap to tighten the boots or something on the left and right there, with the little gold and white, so that looks pretty cool. And then on the back is just a little more hedgehoggy details, I guess. Minifig number 2 is Crab Meat, and this one's really simple, but I still like it. They use a lot of good parts here, like the Jango Fett blaster piece for the legs. They use 1x1 clips for the hands and the 1x2 slopes with the inverse as well, and they use specially printed eyes. So pretty cool. There's a lot of expression in the eyes when they use the tap pieces, because you can make them super far away or put them close together when he's focused. Yeah, that's pretty funny, pretty goofy. I like it. And of course it is on just a few snot bricks, so it all has a nice base to stand on. So pretty cool. Up next is a Motobug, and this one's really cool. I like this one because they use the original Star Wars blaster piece, or the megaphone piece, as an exhaust. So that's pretty cool. He does have this blue face here with a sticker on it, just super angry because he's running after Sonic. They do use a lot of slopes to give it that shell effect, which is pretty cool. I like that. And you do get a couple claws here. Just a super basic 1x1 piece there, and just a couple of claw pieces. So not a whole lot going on here, but I like it. And last but definitely not least is Dr. Eggman himself. And let's look at his ship first. Now, left and right side are basically identical, with a little tiny wing, a little vent with it's just a sticker, so nothing too interesting there. That's on a 2x3 slope. And then you get an arrow, maybe a caution arrow to tell you to move out of the way or something. And then I use all bunch of different slopes to give it a good clean look. Same thing on this side, the vent, the arrow, the little wing. And then on the front is a really interesting technique here. So they use this arch piece, and then they use a studs nut on top technique to push this 2x2, forward. So pretty cool. I like how it blends together. That's really nice. And then the back, of course, is just a little tiny exhaust, which moves us really slowly. But I think it works really well. I like the tire piece. I always like getting that little flame from the candles. I think that works pretty well. And then this like 2x2 slope just to give it a little wing. And then in the inside here, there is just enough interior space for Eggman to sit. So you just place him on the 1x1 stud. We'll look at that in a second. We do get a little control pad, which is a printed tile. We've got that in city sets before. A couple of 1x1 tiles just to, I don't know, maybe those are buttons, or maybe they shoot cannons or something. And then, of course, you get this windscreen piece. So overall, a really nice build. Of course, we also have to sit Eggman in the flying thing. So super easy. You can see the 1x1 stud, or the 1x1 anti-stud there, I guess. And then we just take him, and then super easy, place him down in the cockpit, like that. But Eggman himself, I think, is built really, really well. I like how thin his legs are. I think that's super accurate to the game. They use a lot of Technic pieces. They use the original, like, cylinder piece and then the pointy arrow piece to, give him his nice pointy shoes. You can see the axle there underneath. But, yeah, I like his legs. Moving up to his waist, you can see there are 2 stickers, unfortunately. I wish those were printed, but I don't know what else they'd use that single dot piece for. So, yeah, those are just on those, like, cut tiles, I guess. Cut slopes. There is a 1x4 piece, or 1x3, excuse me, on both sides to, even them out so he's all even in the weight. And of course his back is like super sloped off to give him that nice round look. And his arms are super thin as well. You get a couple of clips and like this bar piece which just pushes everything forward, because you get a couple of 1x2s and then a Technic brick to hold his fist in there. So yeah, pretty cool. I like the part usage on his arms and body. And then finally for his head, of course, his glasses dome piece here is printed once again. And his mustache is super big, and I like that. And his nose looks pretty funny. Overall, I think this is a really nice selection of minifigures. For some reason, Crab Meat doesn't count on Brickset or Bricklink, so I am kind of confused what the difference between Crab Meat and the Buzzy Beetle thing is. So I don't really know. But still, some four banger minifigures after I just knock them over. They are really cool. Getting into the last one of our side builds, though, after Eggman's pod, is like this little stand for all of the Chaos Emeralds, so you get all of the different colors just lined up on jumper plates. And you actually get like 1 or 2 per bag, so I think that was really cool how just continuously throughout the set you get additional Chaos Emeralds. And you do see that superhero posing piece there on a hollow stud. So what we do is we just take our Sonic minifigure and then place him on the superhero posing piece and just like line him up like he's hitting a pose or something. Yeah, there you go. And finally, here is the main part of the set itself. This is Green Hill Zone. And you might be thinking, this does not look like 1,000 pieces. Well, it's not. Because truthfully, it's all like 1x1 plates. So it just gives the illusion that it's super big. But that's why the set was only $80. Because they all just reuse the same piece with a little difference, with some of the snot bricks or, obviously the big loopy pieces. But yeah, it's all mostly 1x1s. But getting into the actual set itself, starting off on the left side here, of course, you do get this massive like palm tree. And this uses the Nexo shield pieces in lime green, which I think is really nice. I really like getting those. And there's just a bunch of different clips on there to give it, that leafy effect with all those different shields. And of course there is a Technic piece on the middle there. And then you can like rip it out and like see that there's a blue 2x2 in there. I don't know why you would want to rip this out, but I mean, I guess the option's there. Just below that though is this printed 1x4 of like 8-bit grass and a 2x4 which has Sonic's lives on it, which is pretty cool. And just moving up a few stairs, we get this bridge here, which is really nice. They use a couple clips and like bar elements to, build it on the side. So we get all of these 1x1 cylinder pieces and the hollow studs to hold it all in place there. And just right above it, you can see our first few rings, and they're just connected with this super long, I don't even know what that's called. I like to pose superheroes with it, but that's not the superhero posing piece. So yeah, anyway, it does add a lot of detail, and I like you can barely see it. Moving on more towards the right, though, is this checkpoint. So you do get a bunch of circle pieces and a dome piece, just to give it a smoother effect. And of course, there is a red and blue side for when it's not active, and then when it's active. I wish it was maybe like 1 or 2 studs back a little bit, because Sonic can't really like pass through it. You can just barely place him on the studs. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of breathing room there, so he can't like stand at the checkpoint. But yeah, he's gonna hang it off. So that's my only issue with the set. Moving on, you can see another 1x4 and this massive loop-de-loop here with more of those like 1x1 pieces. But they do switch it up a little bit with some stickers on the left and right. So you get this like angled piece, and you get the massive like 1x6 on 2 sides. So yeah, pretty cool. And there is a 2x4 jumper plate down there, so you can have Sonic in place going all around the loop-de-loop. So I like that. Just above that, though, are 2 power-up boxes. So right now I have a 1-up for Sonic and the invincibility power-up. But they do give you extra options here. So you can have super speed, you can have extra rings, or a force field. Just next to that, though, is a floating platform where we can have crab meat. So there's just a 1x1 stud and a clear dish piece. So super easy, place him down. And then there are these 2 massive like window pieces. So looks like it's floating, yeah. Right after the loop-de-loop, though, you can see this ramp here, which Sonic can blast up and then hit the spike. Or not the spike, the spring, I mean. And as soon as he hits the spring, we can pull the switch and launch him up towards those 3 rings. Yeah, it doesn't work so well. But yeah, there are just a few rings here with more of that superhero posing piece. And that is all just on a ratchet element. So if you really want to, you can move it down or move it up or just completely rip it off the set. If I can do it with one hand. But then this last little section here is just a little, you know, grass area with a sunflower on it. I really like the sunflower build. They used the basic like leaf piece and then a 2x2 flat tie with this like super spiky piece. I'm not exactly sure where that comes from, but it's really cool to get it in yellow, and I hope they make more of it. And of course, with this set, you do have the ability to connect multiple. So you do have 2 Technic pins over here, and then on the other side are your 2 holes. On the back side, real quick, is just more of the same. You get our 1x1 plate landscapes, the beautiful 1x4s, got the lime green cut tiles that are just placed on snot bricks, and you can see how that lever works. So we just pull down the red, and the spring shoots up. But more importantly, there's a hidden high score. So there you go. That's really all I have to say about this LEGO Ideas Sonic the Hedgehog set. Of course, this did launch the Sonic the Hedgehog theme when this set sold super well back in the day. And, yeah, like I said, my only issues were that I wish we got the Lord of the Rings chrome ring for Sonic minifigure, but I do like the bigger rings for the display. And then my only other thing is that we can't place Sonic right next to the checkpoint to, you know, make it look like he just got back from dying, I guess. But what do you guys think about the set? Why don't you leave a comment down below and let me know. And right down there, hit like, subscribe. It's easy. It's free. And I don't know what our next video is going to be yet, but it'll be something just as cool as this.